if you are a parent, you have a little baby, you know that one of the things you may fear is when that child gets older, or like the teen years. And not just the teen years, but the hell that they may give you during this process. It could be because you've seen it on TV, it could be because you've seen your best friend go through it, your sister, your brother, or maybe you yourself give your parents hell during these wondrous years.
I'm sick and tired of my mama trying to control me. I make my own decisions and I can take care of myself.
I only fight because I have to. If somebody walk up on me, then they're going to get hit.
People know not to mess with me. When I get in the fights, I do what I gotta do. I kick ass.
It's nobody's business whether I'm having sex or not. It's my body and I do what I want with it.
I sneak boys in my house if I feel like it. I snuck 4 boys in my room. My mama got mad, but I ain't care.
My mom makes a big deal out of nothing. She needs to get off my case.
We make our own rules and my mama don't got no say in what we do.
When someone says their child is in the teenage years and they're going through the teenage experience, typically the first thing that comes to mind is rebellion, a lack of emotional control, and of course more rebellion. Today, however, what we want to uncover is the spirit behind the myth of the teenage years. As always, let's allow the Bible to be our northern star, if you will, and guide us through this discussion. Now, in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 15, we read, "Folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline drives it far from him." Ladies and gentlemen, here we are told to discipline your child. And I'll be honest with you, if more parents did this from a place of correction, love, and not out of fear or frustration, some of the teenage years would disappear. However, that isn't really the case these days. It seems the parents are more afraid of their children than some are even able to admit. Even so much that if you were to discipline a child, you would still do so kind of wimpishly. Gone are the days when a child got caught doing something, they wouldn't even want to walk past the parent for fear of what may happen to them. Your child walks right past you after you caught them doing something. There's a problem there. You're not applying scripture.
We are pressing charges for statutory rape. My daughter was seduced by that lesbian Satan woman, and there were other band members in the room, and they were all having sex together, and it was unholy, and they took advantage of my little girl. They could all go to hell.
Nobody took advantage of me. I had the best night of my life. The only problem here is that my mom and dad don't have sex anymore. And guess what, Mom? The legal age of consent in Indiana is 16. So, Lily, I fucking love you. Johnny's my hero. Relentless forever!
But let us continue. Of course, we know Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6, "Train a child up in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." The kicker is 2 things. First off, you have to train them up. You cannot bring a child all of a sudden to a counselor and expect for that counselor to become a miracle worker. You cannot bring that child after 7, 8, 10, 11, 12 years of living how they want to live and bring them to a corrective parent and expect for those things to just fall in line. It doesn't happen that way. When you're training, that is a condition, and it has to take root. That takes time. When should you start training your child? The moment you have them. The other part is that it says in the way that they should go. It does not mean that when they get older, they will go. You know how many times I hear parents say, well, they're going to do it anyway, I'm going to let them smoke now. Again, you're not applying scripture. And you're also being an ineffective parent, and may I say a very lazy one at that. If you didn't want the responsibility of doing what you're told here biblically, you shouldn't have had your legs open, or you shouldn't have been in between open legs. In Ephesians chapter 6 verse 1 we read, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right." It gives no excuse for teenage years like we do. Oh, such and such is a teen, and so they're going through that slamming doors phase, the "I hate you mom" phase, the knocking stuff on the table, throwing things at the wall phase. That's not normal. It's very abnormal. The other thing in this verse is that it says, "Obey your parents in the Lord." Parents, let me ask you, are you in the Lord? Is he in you? Is the truth in you? Or are you in bondage? And the truth shall set you free. So often parents try to parent when they're not even in the right place to begin with. And already you are continuing the generational curse, because maybe your parents had you before they were ready to become parents and take on all that is to be a parent, especially one in the Lord. You may be a parent, but you are a parent in the world, and that is highly apparent. You are a parent in confusion. You are a parent who is very naive. You are a parent that lacks accountability. But you still are a parent, and you will have no excuse for you under heaven, nor will you find any on earth. If you as a parent got yourself in the right shape and you were in the Lord with him, some of the things you see happening with your children wouldn't be happening at all. Your children would honor you. They would hearken when they heard your voice. They would speak gleeful, gladful things about you, with or without you around. So often, biblically, when we would see children rebel, this was the first sign that that home was under some form of curse. In Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1 kind of confirms that you parents need to be in the Lord. The interesting thing is that in the Bible, the word teenage or teenager doesn't even appear. You are either an adult or you are a child. And then the question becomes, at what age did we count adulthood? Age 20 seems to be the age. So from conception through the age of 19, they are children. They are children in your womb, not embryos, not fetuses, or even tissue. They are children. In Romans chapter 9:11, Yah says that a baby in the womb cannot do good or evil. You go to the book of Numbers chapter 14, Yahweh pronounced judgment on all of us Israelites who were 20 years old or older, except for Joshua and Caleb and their families. And this is because we have refused to believe in him even after all the signs and wonders that he had done for us in Egypt and leaving Egypt. Our sentence was to wander in the wilderness 40 years until we dropped dead. Numbers chapter 14 verse 29 to 30 says, "Your carcasses shall fall in the wilderness, and all that were numbered of you according to your old number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me, doubtless ye shall not come into the land, concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein, save or except Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun." When you go down to verses 31 to 33, it says, "But your little ones," these are the children, "which ye said should be a prey, them I will bring in, and they shall know the land which ye have despised. But as for you, your carcasses shall fall in the wilderness, and your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years, and bear your whoredoms until your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness." Again, we see in the scripture that the little ones is interchangeably used with children. And again, a lot of the parents you'll find out these days are not really adults. Why? In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, ironically that chapter is 13 by the way, verse 11 says, "When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I gave up childish ways." Now a man is a what? An adult. Then you look at some of these parents and you realize that they're still very childish. You reason with your child at the level they are on. How could they look up to you? In the same way we look up and pray to the Father, and there's a healthy fear of him. And you can only revere what you fear. Even for military reasons, the individual had to be 20 years and older. You could read about more of those in these chapters listed here. You know, when you read Deuteronomy chapter 21, verses 18 to 21, it talks about a man having a stubborn and rebellious son who would not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother. And though they disciplined him, he would not listen. Then it says, the father and the mother should take a hold of him and bring him out to the elders. You know, once they do that son, that rebellious son, will be stoned to death. Kind of harsh, huh? Well, now when you consider the alternative, you know how many cases we see now of the parents being murdered by the very person they gave life to? And it's not a regular murder as if they are a regular murder. This is murder in the most heinous way, for the littlest reason, or no reason at all, because the game console got taken away.
He was upset because they took away his video games. That's why police say a Moses Lake teen shot his parents while they slept. Tonight, chilling 911 calls reveal Nathan Brooks' parents had no idea who pulled the trigger.
And joining us by phone, Morgan Watkins. She is the young man's cousin. Morgan, thank you for joining us. Were there any warning signs at all from Vincent? Did he have any sort of a temper? The psychologist said he had anger issues. What are they talking about?
Vincent is a very nice guy. You know, I went to church with him every Sunday. We hung out outside of school. He didn't show any signs of any problems.
Did he treat animals kindly? Was he kind to other people? Did you ever see him do anything that you thought, oh, that's kind of funny?
Yes, he owned a dog, and he loved that dog to death. I also have a 3-year-old sister, and I would let him watch her when I was busy doing something else.
Ooh, chilling.
And she loved him to death, so I don't understand where this anger came from. But he is definitely a people person.
Okay, Morgan, have you talked to Vincent? Has he talked to you about what he believes happened that day? Did he describe to you what made him go into this rage besides being the iPod? Does he seem remorseful?
Yes, he's written letters explaining what has happened. He pretty much said he just snapped. He was very angry, and he doesn't remember it.
And he describes it, Morgan, as a stupid event, not something that he's horrified by?
And I think the whole, there's no warning signs aspect, I think that's probably just really bad journalism. I think there must have been something. And if the parents didn't see this in their child, that they had some sort of capacity for such a violent tendency, then maybe there was an extent of neglect. If you haven't seen anything in your son that could clue that he might have the ability to do something so grotesque and awful, then maybe you're not around your child enough.
Because they were told they couldn't go to a party. Because the keys to the car that the parents paid for got taken away. I mean, you name it, parents are getting murdered by their own children. And the children are unruly unto death. Even then, through the murder trial case, through the sentencing, through their incarceration, there is little to no pity about what they did. What else would you do with such a child? Also note here that both the mother and the father are on one accord. How can two walk together unless they agree? Note for all the people having children with individuals that they don't see eye to eye with. If that woman cannot submit, leave her alone. If that man isn't worthy of submission, woman, go back home. Proverbs 13:24 is 13 again. Whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. Exodus 21:15. Whoever strikes his father or his mother shall be put to death. Exodus 21:17. Whoever curses his father or his mother shall be put to death. Hebrews 12:9. We read, besides this, we have had earthly fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them. Shall we not much more be subject to the Father of spirits and live? Proverbs 23:13-14 says, do not withhold discipline from a child. If you strike him with a rod, he will not die. If you strike him with a rod, you will save his soul from Sheol or the grave. Proverbs 15:5. A fool despises his father's instructions, but whoever heeds reproof is prudent. You know, my favorite one is Proverbs 19:18, which reads, discipline your son while there is still hope. Do not set your heart on putting him to death. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. You know, every day, the opportunity for you to make an effective change in your child's life is slipping. Again, once this behavior is cemented and concrete in their mind. Some things got to just play out, because training them up takes time. Make no mistake about it, we are in the age of rebellion, and we have been in that age ever since Adam and Eve sinned. And when it happened, Yahweh no longer became the God of this world or the God of this rebellious age. Satan did. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 1 says, "And even if our gospel is veiled or covered, it is covered to those who are perishing. For the God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers, so that they cannot see the light of the gospel of the glory of Yahshua, who is the image of Yahweh." And now that we've gotten into the age of rebellion, let's examine what starts the rebellious teen streak. 13. When you examine that Yah seems to have an affinity for the number 12, there were 12 tribes. There were 12 disciples. Merge this with the fact that numbers, just like names in the Bible, have meanings. And so 13 seems to represent rebellion, pride, and a litany of other unholy things, as well as lawlessness. Now Nimrod, the mighty hunter, who was against the Lord, recorded in Genesis chapter 10 verse 9, was generation 13 in Ham's line. 13 also represents the governments created by men, or the governments inspired by Satan in an outright rebellion against the Eternal. The phrase, the Valley of Hinnom, where we get the word Gehenna from, and then our modern day interpretation of the word hell. This again is the place where people would go and sacrifice their children to the pagan deity Moloch or Molech on December 25th.
But a certain cult in ancient Israel practiced a form of sacrifice which stands out from all the other forms: child sacrifice. They burned their children to death for their god, Moloch, who had the body of a man and the head of a bull. In this video, we are going to learn more about this cruel god and his cult whom the biblical authors hated the most. The word Moloch or Molech appears a handful of times in the book of Leviticus. Most scholars derive it from the root word MLK, which means to rule. Molech is considered as the god of the Ammonites in the New International Version and New Living Translation of 1 Kings, chapter 11, verse 5. "And thou shalt not give any of thy seed to set them apart to Molech, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Moreover, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. I also will set my face against that man, and will cut him off from among his people, because he hath given of his seed unto Molech, to defile my sanctuary, and to profane my holy name. And if the people of the land do at all hide their eyes from that man, when he giveth of his seed unto Molech, and put him not to death, then I will set my face against that man, and against his family, and will cut him off, and all that go astray after him, to go astray after Molech, from among their people." From these verses, we can see how much Yahweh and the biblical authors hate the practice of offering children to Moloch. 2 Kings chapter 23, verse 10. "And he defiled Topheth, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, that no man might make his son or his daughter to pass through the fire to Molech." On several occasions in the Old Testament, the location of the Molech sacrifices is stated to be at the Topheth in the valley of Hinnom, which in relation to ancient Jerusalem, it was just outside the city. But what's a Topheth? Medieval French Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, otherwise known as Rashi, explains. Topheth is Moloch, which was made of brass, and they heated him from his lower parts, and his hands being stretched out, and made hot, they put the child between his hands, and it was burned, when it vehemently cried out. But the priests beat a drum, that the father might not hear the voice of his son, and his heart might not be moved. Some Hellenistic sources also mention similar practices in the regions of Phoenicia and Carthage. Various researchers have found the term MLK inscribed on numerous artifacts.
But that place, the Valley of Hinnom, occurs 13 places in Scripture. The dragon, a symbol for Satan, is found 13 times in the book of Revelation. Satan is behind all the rebellion against Yahweh. In the book of Romans, chapter 1, The Apostle Paul lists 23 characteristics of sinful people who have a debased or reprobate mind. The 13th characteristic is that they are haters of Yahweh. That's in Romans chapter 1, verse 28 through 32. When you look at the battle and the destruction of the city of Jericho, we see that number 13 again. The city was marched around for 6 straight days, and on the 7th day, it was marched 7 times. That means we lapped around Jericho 13 times total before we destroyed the city. King Solomon spent a little more than 7 years building the temple for Yahweh. That's in 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 38. He, however, spent 13 years building a home for himself. 1 Kings chapter 7, verse 1. In Mark 7, Yahshua mentions 13 things that defile a person. They are adulteries, fornications, evil thoughts, murderers, covetousness, thefts, wickedness, licentiousness, guile, blasphemy, foolishness, pride, and an evil eye. That's in Mark chapter 7, verses 20 through 23. Let us also not forget that Abraham's firstborn son, Ishmael, was circumcised at the age of 13. Genesis 17, verses 1 through 22. Now again, when you look at the number 13, there were 13 colonies that made up what we now know as America. And they rebelled against King George of England. When you have a young witch, they say that she doesn't get her powers or officially joins the coven until she's 13. On a dollar bill, there are 13 steps in the pyramid. In the right-hand circle, there are 13 arrows and 13 olive branch leaves. There are 13 olive fruits, 13 stars above the eagle representing 13 colonies, and of course, 13 bars on the shield. Coincidence? Nah. Now things get interesting here. Most songs can be found using one of 12 major chords in music theory. But there is a thing called the 13th chord, drop D, or the devil's tritone. I'll let these guys explain.
Hey everyone, how's it going? So today, I'm going to play you some evil. Today I'm going to play you the devil's tritone chords. These chords, I guess, were like really evil sounding that the church, well, let's just say they did not really want them to be played. Because they just sounded so awful to hear. So, let's listen to them real quick. So this is how it goes.
Hey, it's just a quick video explaining the devil's interval. So we talked about power chords. Power chords are what we call a perfect fifth, meaning, okay, now a perfect fifth and a perfect fourth, those are both intervals that are kind of friendly on the ears. In between the perfect fifth and the perfect fourth, there's this thing called a tritone. It's an augmented fourth. And if you play them together, you get a dissonant sound. And there was a point in music history where this interval was actually thought to be the influence of the devil. And so this can be a reference to the devil in music. It's called the devil's interval, sometimes it's tritone.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. I had discovered years ago the most evil chord in the world. It's based on E, E for evil, you see. I used to refer to it as the devil's chord, and I'll show you why. It's based on the 7th fret bar chord of E. Now, if E is the first in the scale, 1, the 5th is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turn that down a bit. 1 and 5 is 6. You do the B and the E, 5 and 1, and then the octave. And then if you extend your pinky out, you get the 3rd octave. So there's 3 octaves of B and E. 5 and 1, 5 and 1, 5 and 1 is 6, 6, 6. That's what makes this so cool. And this is how it sounds.
Now when you look at the movie American Satan, early on in the movie, before you get 30-40 minutes in, they meet a guy outside of the liquor store who later on they find out is the angel Gabriel. And he asks them, he says, hey, what tune are you guys playing in?
Bottle of Jack and a bottle of Don Julio.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I do.
Keep an eye on my stuff,
Yep.
please.
Hey, could you watch my axe too?
Sure.
What tune y'all playing in?
Drop D.
Drop D. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, drop D. And unlike the other chords that are naturally found on the scale, you have to tune your guitar a certain way to play that frequency. And once you have heard it, you will see just how disagreeable it sounds. There's something off about that tritone. There's something ugly about that. If the devil had a song, it would be in that note. Now, when he was beautiful, I'm sure the songs that he sang and the worship that he gave could have been found in maybe one of those 12 chords. But when he failed, he became something else. A perversion of his former self, like that drop D chord. Now, up until the advent of rock, many record execs and producers had a hard time trying to sneak in drop D, just simply because of how unagreeable it sounds. But when rock and roll hit, that became the new vessel to put this drop D chord in. Don't get it twisted, however. There were other forms of rebellious music. Jazz was marketed to the teens. You had the flappers. You had people who wore zoot suits. In the 60s, it was all about sexual revolution and a lot of drug experimentation. So by the time the 70s hit, the counterculture revolution was in full swing. And the music was always marketed to the young, which would more than often contain lyrics making someone do something stupid, foolish behavior. You're only going to be young once, or the favorite one, you'll be young forever. Be stupid, be dumb.
We're dancing like we're dumb, 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 dumb. Our bodies go numb, 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 numb. We'll be forever young, 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 young.
You'll forever be young. You'll never grow old. You'll never have to answer for what you did during this period. Just be free.
Let's make it last forever. We'll stay young. I just got in my strong singing, here's to never growing up.
Liberate yourself. But this is a lie.
This is my favorite table. Done a lot of business at this booth.
Oh, come on, guys. Don't actually believe this fucking bullshit, do you?
Yeah, I mean, why us?
Because I believe in you. I know you came out here because you know what you're capable of. So do I.
Lucifer is all about control. Well, we can't offer that.
Lucifer? Lucifer? Is that one of your clients? Did you sign Lucifer, Mr. fucking Manager?
Stop shitting us, man. Look, pop stars, they're the ones who influence the masses. We're just a rock band.
Oh, pop stars are so fucking boring. Anyway, I've got most of them.
Like who?
Jay-Z, Empire State of Mind. I love that lyric. Jesus can't save you. Life starts when the church ends.
Hail Mary to the city, you're a virgin. And Jesus can't save you, life starts when the church ends.
And then his little protege, Kanye. You know, I put him on the front of Rolling Stone magazine with a crown of thorns on his head. Total fucking blasphemy. You know, that guy's got over 20 Grammys. That's more than the Beatles, Neil Young, and Elvis put together. I mean, even I'm embarrassed by that. Ah, Cassandra, thank you, darling. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Mr. Capricorn. You're welcome, Mr. Capricorn.
Mr. Capricorn?
Oh, did you hear an echo?
Okay, right, look. Why exactly a band like us?
Rock and roll, heavy metal. You know, you guys, you're so loyal to me. You wear me on your sleeve. But your fans are dangerous, and your fans are full of passion.
Oh, whatever, mate. Fucking mental.
Have you ever seen Iron Maiden? They filled stadiums full of their fans, singing along to songs like The Number of the Beast. Or what about Van Halen? Running with the Devil, the Stones, Sympathy for the Devil. I mean, on and on and on and on it goes. I I'm not saying I'm Satan. Just saying that the devil is a catchy lyric.
If that was all real, they would never put it out in the open.
Well, he talks. Check this out. See this? The pyramid in the eye. Do you know what that signifies?
Illuminati.
What does that writing say?
He favors our undertakings.
Yes, I do. And this?
New Order of the Ages.
Novus Ordo. Yeah. You know, the best place to keep a secret is right in front of someone. Johnny, be good.
Great. All right. Fine. I'm a believer. Now what?
Are you speaking for everybody? All right, I'll take one. We perform a ritual ceremony. And then I will make you international icons.
What's the ritual?
Something very simple. Human sacrifice.
No, come on. No fucking way.
This is the same type of entrapment and enticement that the serpent most likely gave to Eve. Oh, you won't die. Surely you won't die, he says. But of course she began to die.
If I'd have told Zeppelin in the late 60s what was going on with Apple in the world today, they'd think I was a raving loony.
How the fuck do we even know that you're real? What the fuck does this have to do with Apple?
We have a skeptic amongst us, huh? All right, Leo, look up the official price of the first Apple computer.
It was $666.
Yeah. 666, really? Yeah. Yeah, the forbidden fruit with a big bite taken out of it. What a great logo.
Most of my peers got involved with drugs around the teenage years. By the time they were adults, their lungs were black. Their kidneys were giving out because of excessive drinking and alcohol abuse. And you can just kind of see the tiredness and exhaustiveness in their eyes because you abused your body. See, what the devil didn't tell you is that you may actually go on to live. And with that living, you have to live with the decisions that you made during that period. As a reminder, Satan himself can be looked at as a teen. You rebelled against your father and became 13. You're the first of your kind, but you are the leader of many who follow behind. All of the rebellious have you as their guide, from Nimrod on down.
It's religion that separates humanity. But it's music that brings us all together. You know, more people are killed through religious conflict than any other reason. We are all our own gods. If you want to find the answers, you have to look inside yourself, not up to the sky. Our carnal desires are not to be suppressed. They are to be liberated. And sin? Sin is simply a matter of opinion.
After rock music started to lay its course, there was a new genre on the horizon that the elites marketed to the youth as the new counterculture, rebellious thing to get behind. Now, on the surface, most of us melanated people can agree with some of the sentiments spoken of in said records.
Everybody sing in order to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Fighting the establishment and the entire nine. But do not be deceived. This is based off rebellion. This is powered by rebellion. Though it may seem justified, what is the end game? You have to ask yourself that. From the conscious rebellious music that we started to make, it then moved into gangster music. And that became the outlet for so many angry, bitter, scarred youths in America to voice their frustration. And then we eventually got drill music and, look at us today. All stemming from rebellion. And every generation had a part to play in it because you at one point were teens. Which by now you should realize biblically That's a myth. There are no free years as teens in the Bible. Mothers today want their daughters to go date around before they get married. Enjoy your teen years. Enjoy your early adult years. What they're telling you is that they want you to go and whore around before you are found.
Come on, Johnny.
Johnny, wait!
Ho, 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 ho! Wait a minute, ladies. You can't be back here.
I bought VIP tickets for my daughter to meet the band.
Okay, but the meet and greet ended hours ago, and now you need to get behind the barrier, please.
I'm not talking about that one. I want her to go on the bus.
You really think that's a good idea?
Listen, I know what time it is. Tonight is a bonding experience with my daughter. Her dream is to lose her virginity to Johnny.
I'm 18 and ready.
And you can't think of a better way to bond with your daughter. No phones, no cameras.
But ask them, did it work out for them? Did they get pregnant early? How did it work out, Mom? Do not set your child up for slaughter by giving them an entire decade to live a raunchy, hedonistic, very flesh-driven lifestyle that they may not come back from. If you are a parent, this is your job, your divine job to do. And if you are a child listening, you gotta ask yourself, who do you want to be? And choose today whom you shall serve.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is not available. At the tone, please record your message.
This is a representative of the Most High calling to ask about your soul. Are you going to pick up?